if the rest of the world did not get involved, Ukraine is now Russia. So what's the alternative? I hear a lot of people bitching.
Yeah.
We don't even know what the ceasefire will look like yet. This is the phase where they're both listing their demands. President Trump, right, has come into office. He's made a lot of promises. Has he delivered on all of them? You be the judge of that. I think he's delivered on more promises than any president in recent memory. And I would argue the same could even be said about his first term, but he's turned it up to 11 this go around. It doesn't matter what he does. His critics are always up in arms. And that brings us to this topic right now. There was a call between President Trump and Putin, right, where they were discussing a potential ceasefire.
President Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin Tuesday. The phone call lasted about 90 minutes, according to the White House. The two leaders both said they agreed to begin negotiations immediately to achieve a fuller ceasefire. They also discussed efforts to strengthen the relationship between the U.S. and Russia.
So I'll give you a snapshot as to what President Trump said regarding the meeting, what Putin has said effectively regarding the meeting, and then the claims that the media is making and how they are misleading. As always, references are available, links in the description. We do that with every show. I highly recommend that all other shows out there follow suit. Trump wrote this about the meeting on Truth. I gotta get a breath. Do it. My phone conversation today with President Putin of Russia, in case you forgot, was a very good and very productive one, We agreed to an immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure. That'll come back. There'll be a callback to that, as comedians say, with an understanding that we will be working quickly, very quickly, to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to this very horrible war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, Russia, for their part, they also basically echoed this, saying that it was largely positive. And this is one of those situations. Actually, I think we need the stinger here for a claim. This is one of those situations where what has actually happened has been met, at least from the legacy media and a lot of new media, with outright lies. It's time for some claim truth. All right. So here's the claim. And this one, I believe, is made by none other than Jimmy Kimmel, that President Trump got nothing out of this deal, and he was played by Putin.
Old fart of the deal spoke with his pal Putin by phone today, which that seems like a bad... Putting Trump on the phone with Putin is like putting your grandma on the phone with a Nigerian prince. This fellow is so charming. Putin agreed to nothing today. People keep asking if Trump is getting played by Putin, which is like asking if Hava Nagila is getting played at a bar mitzvah. Yes, is the answer.
Mediocre. Here's the truth. Not only did President Trump not get played by Putin, there were quantifiable victories. Links in the description. For example, a prisoner swap. 175 Ukrainians for 175 Russian prisoners. They agreed to dealing with injured Ukrainians, 23 severely injured Ukrainian prisoners of war. They'll be transferred to Ukraine. Big one, they agreed to a 30-day ceasefire regarding strikes on energy infrastructure. That's a big one. The media has been trying to misrepresent that as, oh, it's not all. Well, this is about energy infrastructure. It's a 30-day pause. That's a big deal.
Yes, these are all good things.
Yeah.
Especially for the first step in a ceasefire deal with working on a more kind of comprehensive ceasefire.
Now, you may not think it's enough. Fine. But to say that he got screwed, President Trump, and that it's just not accurate. Brings us to the next claim. And this one is very easily verifiable. As far as it being a falsehood, that Vladimir Putin made Trump wait for an hour to talk. So a bunch of people on X, including one which has 2.8 million views, said that Putin is making Trump wait again. The two leaders were supposed to have met already, but Putin is still at some conference. When Putin is reminded of the meeting, everyone starts laughing, and they're literally making fun of Trump and his convoy. Here's the truth. That is not what happened. And honestly, this is why you have to get off of these social media ghettos sometimes. This happened in the span of about 2-3 hours yesterday and then sort of disappeared. And there were clips taken out of context of the video that I'm about to show you. All of this claim is based on this video that you're about to see.
По заявлениям Дмитрия Сергеевича Пескова, у вас разговор должен до 18 часов состояться с Дональдом Трампом. Не знаю, насколько он... Работа такая. Ну, не знаю, сейчас надо посмотреть, что на эту фразу скажет Трамп. Может быть, он любит интервью давать, может,
Я
уже
же Трампа не упоминал.
Не-не-не, он знает, что у нас дискуссии.
He says in the video, I wasn't talking about Trump, I was talking about Peskov.
He went out of his way to clarify that.
Peskov, it's his press secretary. His press secretary didn't know the actual time of the interview. They were supposed to have their call between 4 and 6 p.m., and he was still on stage at 4, but he was joking about how his press secretary...
It's his job. He'll take care of it.
Yeah, he'll take care of it. Right? This is not new. Remember last week, the press lied about Putin making the envoy Steve Witkoff wait for 9 hours during his trip to Moscow. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turned out that wasn't true either. And look, I think Putin's a totalitarian prick, to be clear. I also don't like Zelensky. We'll get into the demands that are being made. That doesn't change the fact that the media is not acting in your best interest if they are lying to you. And why do the lies always line up on one side of the aisle? To try and make Donald Trump, your president, ergo the United States, look weak, look like a patsy, look like it's under the thumb of Putin. Do they never get a lie incorrect the other way or a mistake? When has there been a mistake that benefits Donald Trump? When has there been a mistake made that somehow elevates the American conservative taxpayer, you, the worker who subsidizes the rest of the free world? I haven't seen it. You can comment below. Maybe I'm missing one. I think it's a good thing that President Trump is able to speak with Zelensky. I think it's a good thing that he's able to speak with Putin. A lot of this remains to be seen, but the tenor is good. We actually have exclusive leaked audio from the call between the two.
Vladimir speaking. How may I help you?
Vladdy, what happened, Vladdy?
What? Problem?
I called. No one picked up. I was getting worried that...
It's no problem. Assistant in Kremlin make mistake with time. He's gone now.
Oh, gone where?
He quit.
Okay, look, we need to talk about Ukraine.
What is Ukraine?
Don't play dumb with me, Vladimir. Everyone knows you're smart. I tell everyone that about you. You're very smart.
Okay, we will talk about Ukraine when you tell me who killed JFK. Wait. How about this? If the Jews did it, say nothing.
Well, look, I can't tell you anything.
I knew it!
But I didn't say the Jews
I
did...
knew it, Nikolai! Go get the vodka! Yes, the good vodka. It's the bottle that says only drink if Jews killed JFK.
Look, frankly, I wouldn't celebrate just yet, Vladdy.
Wait. It was Russian Jew?
No, it wasn't a Russian Jew.
Zorova! Pass me the vodka across expensive giant table!
You could argue it's disrespectful.
I mean,
it's not as referential as it should be.
They'll use any reason to celebrate.
they really will.
Yeah, and they'll use any reason to create giant tables for no reason.
No reason whatsoever.
Mission Control, can you say that for new viewers who are coming in? I don't know if you're aware of this. They have absurdly, cartoonishly large tables in Russia, and I don't understand it. Is it a cultural
And only two people.
Only two people.
Every day is Thanksgiving in Russia.
That's right. Yes. That's right. With an empty table with two individuals on it. By the way, right now Zelensky and Trump are apparently speaking as well. This seems like good progress. Conversations going on. That's nice, right?
Yeah.
That's how you come to a ceasefire and stop the killing. By the way, I know this is small and anecdotal, but do you know who really likes this peace deal right now? The 175 people coming home, especially the 23 severely wounded people who probably thought they were going to die in Russian captivity.
Yep.
They're probably pretty happy today.
Yeah.
It's a small first step, but it's important.
And Russian prisons, I mean, they make our state prisons look like resorts. It's about as bad as it gets.
The gulag is nice.
Yeah, it's nothing but starvation and back tattoos. Let's be honest.
It's true.
You ever seen Eastern Promises? By the way,
It's that without the creature
the only
comforts.
scene I've ever seen where you see a guy's Johnson in a fight.
I'm happy for these guys going home back to Ukraine.
Yeah,
That's great.
Good for them.
I hope
we go back to some-
hope they get a couple weeks off before they get conscripted back to the front lines.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, nice.
You
You have the table?
You have the table? Show the table to people.
I got a couple for you. There's one. There's the
Oh, that one's the best. There we go.
There you go.
I love how that
I
one
said, could you pass mashed potatoes?
he slides the borscht over. Hey, you spill it
Everywhere.
Come on, that's not how we treat borscht.
He smells. I need large table so I don't smell him.
Hey, well, who added extra chair? It's going to be too crowded. I like to spread my...
There is one random chair.
No! This is two-seater.
Why would you put him all the way down
That's the
there?
best part is that it is a coupe, and it should have all these chairs lining it.
You know, he's using that as leverage. He's like, this chair could be you.
Yes, one day.
I don't think. Is it you one day? Maybe not. Maybe not.
It'd be my left hand, man.
Let's play musical chairs.
That's right.
Stop music when only I am near chair.
Maybe you go sit at kids' table. It is size of banquet hall. It's for little people.
Yes, the wedding table.
Yes, that's right.
The
They got them all
tiny one.
surplus, okay? Somebody had a good idea about tables.
And here's another claim. It's a dirty bomb that goes off from the media. Their attacks aren't just reserved for Donald Trump. Caroline Leavitt, right? The accusation now is that Caroline Leavitt doesn't understand geography. So CNN, a lot of mainstream media said this, and then a bunch of ex-users, sort of Ukraine activists like Jay in Kyiv, posted, seems Putin convinced Trump that the Zaporizhia power plant is, he misspelled it.
He did.
Okay, that the Zaporizhia power plant is on the border of Ukraine and Russia, when it's actually hundreds of kilometers inside Ukraine. Well, that would be really stupid if she didn't know that, right? Here's the truth. She was referring to the border as it relates to the lines of control, meaning where the fighting is. That border has shifted. Let me give you an example. If the United States, let's say, were to, I don't know, conquer Canada.
Pretty easy.
And they were to have a war, and the border line of control moved up to midway through Alberta, right? That doesn't change our national borders, but we're discussing this issue in contention because that's where the fighting is taking place. And it couldn't be more clear when you understand the context and watch it yourself.
The president referenced power plants with a conversation with Vladimir Putin. What is he referring to with power plants? What is that?
There's a power plant that is on the border of Russia and Ukraine that was up for discussion with the Ukrainians, and he will address it in his call with Putin tomorrow.
The nuclear plant.
Correct.
Yep. And that power plant is located right there on the Russian side of the lines of control, which really have not been moved a whole lot.
Nope.
So,
pretty clear.
All of this is just fluff. I just think it's, from the media, because they don't want to focus on what is actually going on. I want to get to this. Could a ceasefire be reached? All right. Russia came in. They have some preconditions here. Let me read them for you. They have demanded that Ukraine stop conscription, meaning forcing people into the military, mobilization, moving their military up to those borders. You want to ask the question, okay, will Russia stop? They didn't say that they would. Russia's demanding that all foreign military aid and intelligence to Ukraine is stopped. Okay. Question would be, will Russia accept those same terms as far as China helping them? Now, I want to be pretty clear here, because if I were Putin, don't like Putin, just, Putin bad to be clear, I also would come in hot. Why? Because you have to remember that Zelensky went out there and just had a laundry list of demands. Remember? His laundry list of demands for him to even sit at the table was restore all Ukrainian territory. He wanted security guarantees from NATO, right? He wanted, and he didn't talk about the concessions that they would make. So Putin is coming in going, okay, I want this. That's where we are. He's not going to tip his hand and say, and we'll be willing to do that too. They're both coming in and laying demands. That's where we are at this point. The media wants you to believe that Putin is not willing to make any concessions. No, he just hasn't listed them yet. He goes, you have demand, I have demand. Let's hash it out.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the whole part of this process. I don't know why people misunderstand this and say Putin is just dictating the terms. Nobody's accepted his terms.
Right.
Just like we didn't accept all of Zelensky's terms for this and say, yeah, exactly. We're going to do that. How about, what do you want? What do you want? All right, let's get in a room. You said this. You said this. You're going to have to give somewhere. Let's go.
Right.
Pretty simple.
And I think a really simple question to ask that I think everyone needs to, you have to sort of take your emotion out of this for a second. All right. You don't like Zelensky. I don't like either of them. I think Russia is corrupt. I think Ukraine is corrupt. I don't think it's our war. Okay. That's my opinion. Fine. Take your emotions out of it. All right. What's the alternative? So you're mad about Putin listing demands. What did you think he was going to do? What's the alternative?
Yeah.
Not have a conversation that only guarantees with 100% certainty continuing war with no changes. So a genuine question to people out there who have a problem with this meeting taking place, what would you prefer to see happen? More spending from the U.S.? More spending from Europe? Don't get into the pie in the sky. Well, Russia should just give everything. That's not going to happen. Any other scenario, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Ukraine has changed hands back and forth quite a few times. Like this has been a conflict for a while. If the rest of the world did not get involved, Ukraine is now Russia. So what's the alternative? I hear a lot of people bitching.
Yeah.
We don't even know what the ceasefire will look like yet. This is the phase where they're both listing their demands. I would be willing to bet that if Zelensky was not an entitled, spoiled prick, and rather than just listing demands, also listed the concessions, the compromises, Putin might as well. Putin doesn't see himself as fighting Ukraine. He's pissed. I guarantee you, put yourself in the mindset of Putin. Doesn't mean he's a good guy. He's going, this used to be between you and me, Ukraine. Why can't you fight me like a man? You have to bring in NATO and you are a pussy boy. He sees himself as fighting the entire Western world.
Because he is.
Yeah.
It's not until recently that supporting somebody financially and giving them arms wasn't seen as a sign of war. I know that we did that in World War era. I get it. In World War II, we did the Lend-Lease program and all that stuff. I get all of that, but it's not the same thing. Like if you're supporting
Russia
my
did
enemy,
it to us in the global war on terror. So.
No, I know it's common, but I'm just like, how is that not at war with somebody? I would be so pissed if I was the leader. I'd be like, you're not fighting me, but you're giving him the weapons to fight me.
Right.
It's the only reason he's still there.
No, that's exactly right. He's furious about that. And Zelensky is basically grandstanding going, and we will have never-ending support from all of these countries. Nani, boo-boo. So
I don't know if they say that.
Well, it's just, I'm
translation.
It's a loose translation.
I don't want to get admonished.
Yeah, no. Let's do it anyway.
Don't you dare, Tim.
They say it. I guarantee you someone has said nanny, boo-boo.
So I'm...
Admonish him.
Admonish.
Take it out, Truman. Goes into you.
Well earned.
Yes.
Shoot.
So President Trump understands this. He understands the alternative. He's not stupid. He also knows what we're dealing with as it relates to Iran. Please give me a second here, because I know that you have people online now saying there's propaganda trying to basically drive us into a war with Iran. No, I don't believe that we should be destroying Iran's potential nuclear reactor sites, but no one's actually discussing that. To then take that message that people would mostly agree with, you're watching right now, I'm willing to bet that you agree, you don't want us to get into a nuclear war with Iran, and then somehow use that to make the argument that Iran's not a threat at all because they've never killed an American on American soil. I don't understand it. Iran every few years, they have an ass kicking coming their way since '79. Let's be clear about that. But more importantly, every few years they're like, we're going to break the whole system. We're going to burn it all down. And they're always on the path to nukes. Now, how close they are, it seems like that's been a moving line.
Getting closer, if not for the Israelis.
Yeah, it's like the Monty Python when they're running over the hill and then you realize they're at the exact same spot again.
But they're using an abacus to do their equations.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I am seeing people on the right, though, who are like, oh, they're no threat. This is propaganda. Iran's great. Well, I don't want war with Iran, but they're awful. Okay? Last week, President Trump threatened Iran. He said that if they kept supporting the Houthis, they would have hell to pay. He wrote this on Truth. He wrote, to Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately. And if you do, beware. You're in for a scare. Because America will hold you fully accountable and we won't be nice about it, which I thought went with beware.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the nice way to do it?
But now you have this new campaign online denouncing war with Iran. Well, who's talking about war with Iran?
Oh.
Iran?
The usual suspects. They're not talking about war with Iran in a vacuum. Right. They're saying we're fighting Israel's battles for them. Why are we controlled by Israel? Go into war in Iran. We have no issue with them.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I don't think we should be going to war with Iran over Israel. Comment if you... Right. I agree with that. Yeah. That doesn't mean that Iran has not expressly threatened the United States repeatedly, and that through a series of policy missteps, certainly the Obama administration, they are a potentially increasing nuclear threat. We need to be aware of that. I hope I'm clear. Russia, Ukraine, not our war at all. Iran, we shouldn't be at war with them right now, but I absolutely think that we should put some pressure on them. And by pressure, I mean, things. Let's start with reversing, for example, the billions of dollars that were unfrozen under the Obama and Biden administration.
Cash wasn't enough pressure. I mean, that's heavy to carry those things.
Yep. But here's the thing. What you're seeing now from these factions on the right, I don't know if you know this, and I'm curious to see where you line up. I think that, again, you are the mainstream. There's a reason that so many of you tune in. You don't spend your days on X and on Facebook engaging in just social clickbait. You actually have jobs, right? Most Americans think, hey, yeah, I hope Israel beats Hamas. And I think we're probably sending too much money and Israel's certainly not perfect. That's a pretty reasonable opinion. Everyone I talk to shares that opinion. If you go online, it's the Jews can do no right. The Jews can do no wrong. Very few people line up that way. And I'm not falsely, I'm not misrepresenting anyone here, as a moderate. I'm saying don't feel like you're the odd one out for your opinion. On Iran, I think we share the same opinion. Most of us. I get it. It's a spectrum, like retarded people, because Democrats have been saying this exact same thing, only they were doing it after the killing of Soleimani in 2020.
Donald Trump ordered the killing of Iran's top general. What happened to peace? Huh? When most people break their resolutions, they eat ice cream instead of working out. This guy rained down fire on these motherfuckers. He ate ice cream while doing it.
Look, I don't know what the president's motivation here is, but I think it was a reckless decision that increased the risk to Americans all around the world.
We're getting more bogged down in the Middle East, more endless.
It's the same guy.
Nothing to really gain from it. In that sense, I think Trump's talking points on this issue are not incorrect, but he is not acting on those talking points because he's now taken us to the precipice of war, and we may actually end up in a war.
Just think of it. Remember Barack Obama debating Mitt Romney said, no, the 1980s called, they want their policy back. Yeah. So now the Democrats think that Russia is the greatest threat, and now you have people on the right saying that an Islamic regime who, by the way, openly says they want to see the destruction of all Western civilization is not. And the talking points are strangely similar, almost verbatim. Is anyone else having their eyebrows raised over this? And I would imagine, by the way, dealing with all the chatter, probably pretty tough for President Trump. Good news is former President George W. Bush has been on the trail here, giving some ex-presidential advice.
Here's some advice. Trust me when I tell you, being president is tough. Foreign policy is hard. Economy goes up and down. War sucks. It's more important to find time for yourself. They might be saying bad things about you on television, but if you finish the course 6 strokes under par, who gives a shit? Take yourself to the bar, have yourself a couple of drinks on deck. Maybe go home, squeeze your wife's tush, give her some loving. Some much needed loving, and take her out to the ranch and show her how a real horse bucks.
Gross.
Wasn't the best president, but I'd have a beer with him if he still drank beer.
Absolutely. Seems like a guy you could kind of hang out with.
Pretty cool
quickly
guy.
On the war with Iran thing, right? We already said how the media is kind of overplaying this, but people were actually saying, and I think I even quoted it, so maybe I need an admonishment for this, Tim, about 3 carriers being sent to Iran or in proximity. And
you did say that yesterday.
False. I did say I'm not 100% sure. I didn't make it with absolute certainty. Well, that's a map of the world. Oh, is that where all the carriers are?
Dots there.
Like,
thanks, Gerald.
It's really small on my screen. I was like, what are those little dots? Oh, okay. That says carry. Okay. So people are just, they're kind of drumming this up into this much larger thing than it actually is right now. Not just the media, mainstream media doing this, but people on the right, on this far right fringe that's going out there and throwing this out there like it's the only thing that we're going to war with Iran. No, we're not. He's negotiating. This is what he does.
Yeah.
Why did you give him room when he said stuff like this about the economy, or he said stuff like this about what he was going to do domestically, and you won't give him the same kind of space to do it internationally? Right. This is what he does.
Right.
He did it his first term. It was very successful. Leave him alone and let him do it again.
Yeah, as far as terrorism, look, Iran, I'd argue Qatar, probably the greatest threats, certainly the biggest funders of terrorism.
Yes.
As far as economically, who we have to be worried about? China. And we do want to sort of keep on our radar an unlikely alliance that could form between China and Russia. There are some concerns there. We want to avoid war, right? Not at all costs, but at most costs. And we need to be able to identify which ones are worth fighting. Being anti-war doesn't mean no war, and being anti-war doesn't mean no strategic strikes.
Right.
Being anti-war doesn't mean living in a utopia where you believe you have no enemies. Iran is certainly an enemy to the United States. Doesn't mean we need to nuke them. I don't know who it helps to not recognize them as the evil
and threaten them a little.
That they are. Yeah, a little bit.
By the way, do some research on Iran, people, before you start comment. This is a death cult.
Yes.
The only way they bring about the end of the world in a positive way, read up on the 12th Imam and what they have to do. There has to be chaos and global conflict for it to happen. So when you're pursuing a nuclear weapon and you have that ideology, not the people, the leadership, the people in charge, that's kind of scary. You're trying to have the weapon. That's not even real. That's not even. That
was for the carriers.
Yeah, but it's so late.
I know. That's why it's better. Because you just made some really salient points, and it was all discredited in one swift motion of the finger. To those of you who are new and you ask, is this an abusive work environment? Absolutely. And we would have it no other way.
Well, I'm glad you did it, because Gerald's put me to sleep over it.
Yeah.
I was out. I was like, oh, yeah, this is the
End of the world, nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Boring.
Well, good. At least you help me out. Next time when I can't sleep, I'll count imams.
There's only 12. You won't get very far.
Well, you know,
Help you sleep at 3.
That's about as far as I can go because I wear socks when I sleep.
1 imam.
Keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click the keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click. Keep watching.